Try and turn a lemon into a melon is my next guest's motto. On the Tea Time sofa this week is Annabel Simons, who founded an award-winning lifestyle magazine for the over 50s 11 years ago with her dear friend Grace. They recently changed the brand name to Annabel and Grace and have been running the online magazine to help older women to feel included, find their unique style and a way forward as life changes. The 50s is a time for menopause, and that can be an unnerving change in itself. Let's find out more about beginning to put yourself first. Annabel, welcome to Tea Time with me, Ali Monjack. How are you today?
Oh, I'm very well, and thank you for having me on your podcast.
You're more than very welcome. So, you have been running a lifestyle magazine, haven't you, really, online for quite some time, although you've just recently, Annabel, rebranded.
Yes, we've been going for just over 11 years. We were originally called Country Wives, and then we never intended it to take off not intended, but we never thought it would take off the way it did. And originally, believe it or not, I don't know if you remember, there was a TV series called Desperate Housewives, and there was a group of us that used to meet regularly, girlfriends and everything, and we sort of we called ourselves the sort of Desperate Country Wives. And so that's how it started. And then because the whole thing just morphed into this online lifestyle magazine, we realized that actually Country Wives was slightly exclusive, because you didn't have to live in the country to follow us, and you didn't have to be married, obviously, to follow us. So we changed it. Actually, we thought long and hard. There were so many hundreds of clever names that we kept coming up with. But in the end, we thought, we were doing a lot of work at the time with Trini Woodall with her makeup brand, Trini London. And we thought, do you know what? Trini and Susanna, do you remember? It's such a well-known name. Everyone remembers it. And we thought, why don't we just use the names that we've got, that we use on our website? So we just called ourselves Annabel and Grace. It was as simple as that. But in actual fact, it's much easier. And I think everybody now remembers it, A&G. It's just so simple. It's often the simple ones that are the best, aren't they, really?
They are, definitely. And they're the ones that stick in your mind, don't they, really?
Yes.
I think that's the thing. Fundamentally, you started this magazine, though, to help, the 50s, 60s, 70s something, to, sort of get into their own style. Because, would you say, I'm at an age now, and, my children are a certain age. I've got a 22-year-old and an 18-year-old, and life is changing, and it's a bit scary, I've got to admit.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's just there's a lot of importance placed on that, the big 50, when you cross into the big 50. I suppose too, it's associated too with women. They've possibly gone through the menopause, going through it, etc. It's a time when, in the main, if you have children, they've probably grown up and are starting to leave the nest, or have left the nest, depending on when you had them. And so it's a sort of, it's the moment of change, and nobody likes getting older. Let's be honest, nobody likes getting older. But what we wanted to do was say, you can still sparkle in even more so, because you can put yourself first for once, because as a woman, you've probably always put your family, your children, your husband, your partner, whoever, maybe you've looked after your parents, whatever, you put them first. And suddenly now's the time to actually say, hang on, what about me? And look back. And that's why we really thought about how Annabel and Grace morphed into this lifestyle magazine, because it originally wasn't that. Originally, it was just us chatting to each other about our lives and our ups, our downs and everything. And then brands started to want us to review their products, their services, whatever it may be, their recipes, their books, their, 1,000 things. And we started to think, yeah, it's that time, isn't it? You've got time to think about what book do I want to read, not just, grab the first thing because you're in a rush. I'm sure Ali, as you've just told me that your daughter's just has just finished her A levels. So everything's been about her and, helping her and supporting her. And suddenly you can support yourself. And that's why. And then what we thought was, well, a lot of women need help. I don't mean that in a patronizing manner. Don't get me wrong. I just think that because maybe they've been out of the game, they haven't been focusing on their fashion, on what makeup is right for them, and all of these sort of things. So maybe they've now got more time to cook. So but they want some innovation, some inspiration rather. We thought, well, we'll help them. And also I think with fashion and beauty or well-being, I think you do tend to as a woman, get sort of stuck in a rut because you don't have the time. You got that look that you developed when you were, I don't know, let's say 30, and you just don't have time to think, actually, do you know what? I've changed shape, haven't I? And of course, the menopause does that to all of us. Maybe that style doesn't suit me. Maybe the makeup I'm wearing doesn't suit me, all sorts of different things. And then you think, oh my goodness, but well, what does suit me? How do I? And then you need some help. And what we try and do is point people in the right direction, because let's face it, even though brands are getting better, they do to a certain extent, not all of them, don't get me wrong. I've got some wonderful brands that embrace the over 50s, but there are an awful lot of brands that still, everything is geared towards the 20-something, or maybe it's not geared towards them, but they use the young models, the young influencers to promote their product. And let's face it, what works on a 20-something isn't going to work on a 50-something, or certainly not a 60 or 70-something. And they don't, that we're the sort of forgotten age group, aren't we? And yet we're the ones with the highest spendable income. We've got the time to shop, the time to browse, and the time to research and find the right product. So we're just there to help people and say, okay, so here's a brand, a fashion brand that you've probably, because you've seen the pictures or the brochures or the emails into your inbox, you've just seen a young girl modeling it and you've thought, oh, I can't wear that. And you've just dismissed it, understandably, because you haven't had the time to just, we go through the brand and 9 times out of 10, we'll find a few items. Yeah. And sometimes I think, in a funny sort of way, the brands that gear themselves just to the older woman, they don't do it right either, because they forget that actually there's a certain amount of aspiration, is there? I mean, you've got a daughter. There's nothing better, isn't it? I know from a mum, I've got 2 daughters, 2 sons, but I know with my daughters, there's nothing better than when a daughter copies you, that she wants to borrow your jacket, your jumper, or she fits into the same trousers as you. That's
steals from your wardrobe without
asking. Or she just steals from your wardrobe and she doesn't ask you. Yeah, that's probably more likely. Yeah, no, but it gives you a feeling of, oh yeah. And so there's that other, it's a balance, isn't it? We don't want that word old, aging. They're horrible words, aren't they? But and we're terribly pro-age, because we don't think there's anything wrong with getting older. It's just, what we're trying to do is say, make the most of this age. Hopefully look at you, Ali. I know on a podcast people can't look at you, but you're fit, you're good looking, you don't look your age at all. And so this is a time when you can still do all those things. Last year I learnt to paddleboard. you know, and I think to
I'm
myself,
rather jealous.
yeah, but I think to myself at 62, or when, you know, I was 61 when I learned to paddleboard, I thought to myself, my mother would have been, you know, she'd have been horrified. I mean, at 61, she really felt she was probably over the hill and past it, and she wouldn't have considered doing something like that. But yeah, I mean, obviously there were some people of her generation that were sort of get up and go and pioneers, but it's sort of, isn't it, a life is geared to sort of that downhill path, and we're saying no, this is a time when you can sort of leap up again, and you know, and you can look after yourself, and there's so much out there to help you look after yourself, help you keep you healthy. We do a lot of work with supplement brands, things like that. I mean, nothing that we recommend on our website is we haven't either personally tried or somebody, a very trusted friend, contributor has tried. So that we would only recommend things that we genuinely feel do help or do what they say on the label. I think that's important. Our integrity is, for Grace and I, that's our most important thing, is the integrity. And people trust us and they want to see us in the clothes. They don't want to see young models in the clothes. I mean, it would be easy for me to do a website and just take pictures of the web, of, you know, online, and just stick them up there and say this dress. But if the girl's only sort of 18 and a size 8,
Really, yeah,
you know, you can't relate.
No,
Yeah,
it's not authentic, definitely.
yeah, it is.
And I mean, you find some great tips as well, you know, on how to look after yourself, which is just brilliant, really. So, I mean, do you sort of keep sourcing that on a regular basis?
Yeah, I mean, I think that now, I mean, for instance, last night we had Grace was over with me, and we would, because we were doing a photo shoot yesterday, and then we had supper with some of my friends who are also contributors to the website. And people friends start to tell you about things that they, oh, here's one for your website, you know, this is wonderful, or, you know, I just found this mascara that is, you know, £10 instead of the normal 25 that I spend, and it's just as good, and it's, you know, or I don't know, a book they've read, or, and I suppose we keep our ears tuned, don't we, you know, to, you know, when there are recommendations. I've just been listening to Mariella Frostrup on books she's going to take on holiday to read on Times Radio, and then there you are, there's a great source, because she's a woman, I think she's 58, I think I'm right in saying, hope I got that right, but you know, she's obviously, she's in the same age groups, enjoying the same sort of things, and so you just hear things. And yeah, I just guess it's now, our brands approach us, we get a lot of, I mean I'm serious, I mean, it takes a long time to sift through. Brands approach us a lot. These influencers, social influencers, as we're now called, are becoming very popular, or have become very popular, really. Of course, during lockdown, it was even more so, because, you know, people weren't out shopping and meeting up with friends and chatting and fighting. So a lot of our readership expanded, because a lot of women have certainly, I mean, maybe not, you're a good 10 years younger than me, but certainly I'd say the over 65s are that generation that might have slightly not embraced technology. And they had to during lockdown, didn't they?
Yeah.
And if they wanted to keep in touch with their children and grandchildren, they had to embrace it. And there was a slight sort of thing, I don't need it. Why do I need it? I don't need a mobile phone. I don't need an iPad, you know, and I can understand that. Why do I need another thing to complicate my life? It's bad enough trying to, you know, record a television program now, you know, I just don't need, and I can understand that. They weren't brought up on computer, nor was I, but you know what I mean? I had, like you, children in the household who taught me about a mobile phone. I mean, I got a mobile phone after my children. They all got them before me. It's strange. It was just, you know, why they needed them, and because I had none of my friends had them, so why would I need a mobile phone? Who was I going to call? So I think that the sort of 65s plus lockdown has made them embrace technology. They trusted technology a lot more, and therefore our magazine became very much more popular because of that, and very typically of that age group, when they join something or they remain loyal, they stick with you. I mean, I'm sure your mum had a weekly or monthly magazine, and she just, always had it. Oh, but I've always had this. Well, mum, don't you think it's time that you maybe had, something more appropriate to your age? No, I've always read this, and that's what I'm going to read. And that's the thing, isn't it? Change is very difficult when you're older, and which is probably why lockdown, in some respects, I mean, it's, don't get me wrong, the last 18 months has been absolutely grim, and never want to repeat it. But, you have to turn a lemon into a melon, as I always say. And there were some good points about it, in that I think it gave people a time to stop. They put the brakes on, rethink, what are we doing? Where do we live? Where do we work? Do we want to commute? Do we, to me, and all the things that gave them time to reassess their life. And maybe, I mean, I was doing during lockdown yoga 4 lessons a week on Zoom. Wow. Right. Before I was doing it twice. 4 times made such a huge difference. Yeah. I could really tell. And then I thought afterwards, well, why would I stop doing that? That's fantastic. You see, whereas before I would have said, oh, I haven't got time for another 2 lessons. Busy. Now my priorities change. I'll say, no, that comes first. And then, so I think that has helped. So I think that our wellbeing section is popular because, I mean, health has been all anyone's talked about for the last year and a half is health, isn't it, really, in one way or another? Whether it be health from COVID or health from being locked down and mental health. And we've also, long before COVID, we realised there are an awful lot of people out there, Ali, who are lonely. And they may be, you may look at them and think, but, they got children at school and they're dropping children off, picking children up, or they got this, they got that, and they're whizzing. But they're actually lonely in that they haven't got friends. They haven't made friends, or whatever it is. I don't, whatever. They're too busy.
True. That is certainly true. I mean, that really has highlighted, been one of the issues that, COVID has highlighted, is loneliness. And there's a lot of people, you're right, that haven't connected with people. And I think that has been incredibly hard. And maybe they've not realised that they haven't connected with people either, because they've got into such a routine of going to work, dropping the kids off.
Yeah, exactly. They don't realise that actually, when it comes down to it, take all those things away. Well, who do we talk to? Who do we communicate? And we're human beings. We need to communicate. We need to be, I mean, one of the things we obviously all missed was being tactile. We need to touch. We need that feeling of touch, and so if you're living on your own and you were deprived of that as well. And so, I know a lot of people said, emailed us and said, we've recommended your website to, like my children's friends recommended our magazine to a lot of their parents and their mums. And we have a lot of male followers too, actually. But because of this, oh, mum, this will be fun. You follow it, you'll get lots of tips, cooking, lots of nice recipes. It's a great, we've got over 800 recipes, over probably nearly 800, nearly 900 now. But, so recipes that we've tried, tested, tasted, and loved. And so I think, so from that point of view, and we all got fed up, didn't we, with watching television, and we needed more than that, didn't we? Because, I mean, we do a best once a month, I do best TV, and I try and find things that you may not have found yourself. I think that the thing is, why our magazine is popular is there's too much choice out there, isn't there? And you don't have time yourself to scroll through everything to find, you know, you sit down to watch television. Do you seriously want to spend the next 20 minutes trying to find something that, oh, do we like that or no? So you go onto our website, you go onto our best TV, you look and you read out a short paragraph to your other half or whoever and say, look, what about this? Yeah, love that. Let's try it. And on we go, you know, and it's taken a couple of minutes. So I think it's a resource too, as a time saver, I guess. And the same with, you know, books, anything like that. It's just how much time has everyone got? And so, yeah, anyway, it works. People love it. We have some lovely, lovely followers who communicate with us all the time. And it's lovely. It's really nice. You feel like you're part of a community, which is ideally what we want. Yeah.
Yeah, what Annabel and Grace is all about. And you can see that, you know, in your Instagram posts as well. So, yeah, I mean, you know, it's like being part of the Annabel and Grace team, isn't it? You know, so I think.
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of over 50 influencers out there who are just on fashion.
Right.
And we were, you know, I think that to a point gets a bit dull. I mean, they do a fantastic job and I look at them and get ideas from them, but I think it's too one-dimensional, and it's probably because they haven't got time to do all the other things. And because there are two of us, most people, it's just, well, I think virtually all of them, as far as I know, are just single person running as whether they run it through Instagram or they have a website as well or whatever. But because there are two of us, it does make a difference. And because we've got contributors doing book reviews and things like that, that makes a difference. So we can offer a much broader base, and I think that at 50 everybody's got so many different interests and haven't they? I mean, you know, so but I think, know, and fashion's always going to be popular.
Yes, definitely. I think you're right. Yeah. And I think, you know, there's one common thread there. It's, you know, the sort of next part of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
And how do you sort of all, you know, come together over this? Because, you know, you're not alone, are you? We're all together in this change, so to speak. So
yeah,
that's lovely. And you've also won an award, haven't you?
Yes, that was a few years ago, actually. But yes, we won we won the social influencers for women over 50. Yeah, which was, I mean, we were so chuffed about that. It was wonderful. And it was really lovely. And that really just sort of, you know, because it was like projected us into this next phase and made it, you know, much more serious, because we suddenly realized, gosh, we've got something here. We've got a brand that has got influence over people. I mean, it always surprises us. I mean, I know it's, you know, we wouldn't recommend things if we didn't think that people should buy them. But it's funny, isn't it? How, I don't know. I did a promotion recently with a chocolate brand called Pure Heavenly, and they do this. It's virtually no sugar chocolate, and it's really nice. It's like anything, I have to say to you, it's a bit like if you drink your coffee or your tea with sugar and then you give up sugar, it takes a long, you sort of go, oh no, this doesn't taste right. Yeah, it doesn't taste right. It's hard, isn't it? Yeah. But then you get to a point, don't you, where the other day I picked up the wrong cup. I'd made a cup of coffee for somebody and I picked up the wrong one and it had sugar in it. Yuck. I couldn't, I hate it. It was far too sweet. And that's, so, you know, we did this promotion, you know, and we suddenly discovered that they contacted us and said, oh, they had a fantastic reaction. Lots of people. And we thought, yeah, that's really nice, isn't it? But it's just sort of always, you know, you put things out there and you think, you know, I mean, I understand with fashion and stuff like that, but, you know, it's so nice to hear that smaller brands, the unusual brands that maybe are struggling to get to get known. And, you know, people who started businesses in the last couple of years, I mean, they've really struggled to get their message across and people to know about them. So they need people like us. And because we can react very quickly. You know, for instance, doing the sale produce, you know, most magazines or newspapers or whatever struggle to get sale stuff in. And by the time you see something in a newspaper and you think, oh, I like that. And then you go home and you get on your laptop and you find it's probably sold out. Whereas we can, if somebody says we've got something coming up this weekend, we can get it out immediately, you see. So that works. Yeah. So it works like that very well. We can really respond to clients' needs quickly and get it out to a big audience. Yeah.
Fabulous. So, I mean, do you and Grace have lots of editorial meetings and decide?
Well, we Zoom on Mondays. Yeah, we do. I mean, we you know, we talk virtually every day and we WhatsApp all the time. We have different areas that we're responsible for. And then we both come together and do all the writing. So she does much more of the back end of the website, keeping all of that going, and which is highly complicated, and she's really good at it. And whereas I do much more of the dealing with clients and, you know, just the PR and all of that side. And yeah, then we try and do as much together as possible. Obviously, then there was a whole year where we, you know, couldn't get together at all. We briefly met, I think, last summer when we were all, you know, it's amazing, isn't it? You can't remember when we were in lockdown, when we weren't, or what we were in. So I don't want to get myself into trouble.
No, I don't think anyone can, Annabel. It's just been one of those things, isn't it, really? Because ordinarily you look back on, you know, events earlier on in the year and there weren't any.
No, exactly. So there weren't any benchmarks, were there? Like, you know, oh, I remember that was just after I did that, but there was nothing. It was all just a bit grey.
Yeah, I mean, thank goodness that you know, you've got this magazine, and especially during lockdown, I think it's probably very much been instrumental in, you know, helping people, you know, get through it, seeing what's on your website, seeing what, you know, you're talking about, connecting over, you know, health tips and all sorts of different things. I mean, you know, it's definitely probably brought a lot of people through, hasn't it, really?
I think one of the things that I think that works with our magazine is the fact that when you pick up a magazine, you know, not that I was going to say when you pick up a magazine, you're sitting in a dentist's waiting room, but now, of course, they don't do magazines, do they? They're through and in doctors, the surgeries and things. But anyway, if you pick up a magazine and you read an article about what sounds like a fabulous, I mean, this is particularly when I'm talking about well-being, you know, anything beauty, health, anything like that. You read the editorial and you don't know who's writing it, and it could be somebody in their early 20s. So you therefore you think, well, it's certainly not going to be somebody age 62 writing the editorial. So therefore, you don't know. It's all very well to say this is the most wonderful face cream, and then they show a picture of a girl with absolutely no wrinkles putting the face cream on and saying, oh, you know, all the wrinkles. So, well, you shouldn't have any in the first place. So what are you talking about? You know, try that face cream on me when it's got a real, you know, Herculean effort to get rid of all of mine. So I think that because they know that it's us writing it, they therefore know, you know, what they're getting, you know, that if I say this really does truly work, or if I say, you know, it works a bit. I mean, I remember writing about a face cream which actually sold really well, but I said, you know what, I really don't know if this face cream is doing anything to my, you know, wrinkles and dryness and everything like that, because I mean, all you do is you look at your face in a mirror. It's not, you don't look at it under a microscope, so you can't really see. And I went, but it's got the most wonderful fragrance, and just rubbing it in, just, massaging it in makes me feel so good. And just taking that 2 minutes in the morning to put it on, I said, I just feel like I'm glowing. And I said, I probably am not, but I feel like I am. Isn't that good? That's well-being, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you see? And, I mean, listen, we're all going to get wrinkles, and we're all going to, unless you have, you're married to a wonderful plastic surgeon, we're all going to get old at some point. And, that doesn't worry me. I always say, just smile a lot, and then they don't notice so much that what you've got, and that's true, isn't it? Yeah. You look at the masks were a bit of a nightmare, aren't they? Because you can't smile at people as you go around the supermarket.
I know. I do like those masks though, with the lipstick and or the cats, or I think that's really funny. Well, Annabel, thank you so much for coming on Tea Time today to talk about Annabel and Brett.
Not at all. No, well, it was really enjoyable. Nice to meet you on Zoom. And hopefully we'll meet up in person sometime. Okay.
Yes, no, that would be lovely. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. Anyway, okay. Bye-bye.
Look forward to chatting with my next guest on the Tea Time sofa this time next Saturday. In the meantime, if you would love to get in touch about having a chat with me, you can reach me on teatime@forthenow.co.uk, or you can find me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram on Tea Time with AM. Bye for now.